At first, I didn't believe in these things either, ghosts, spirits, or the hidden secrets of old buildings. It all seemed like nothing more than stories to me. But then something happened that changed my life forever. This is the story of the Octagon House, a historic building in Washington, D.C., and within its walls lie not just bricks and mortar, but secrets buried for centuries. If you watch this video until the end, you might just start hearing things behind your own walls. Before we begin, a small request. If you're new to the British Hauntings channel, do consider subscribing and give this video a like so we can bring you more real and chilling tales. Right then, let's begin. But be warned, this isn't just a story, it's a warning. I never believed in haunted houses, not really. Sure, I'd seen the movies, read the stories, even taken a ghost tour or two for fun, but actual honest-to-God hauntings, that was just something the tourism board cooked up to sell tickets. So, when the Octagon House in Washington, D.C. came up during a meeting with my documentary team, I scoffed, too cliché. I said, a haunted mansion in the capital, ghosts of politicians whispering secrets from the grave. Everyone laughed, but 2 weeks later, I stood at its threshold, camera in hand, lights already mounted, and I swear I almost didn't go in. There's something about the Octagon House that repels you the moment you see it. It's beautiful, sure, federal-style architecture, brick walls, curved corners, but there's a weight to it, like the very air surrounding it doesn't want to be disturbed. I chalked it up to nerves. First night shoots always rattled me. We were there to shoot an episode for our Haunted America series. Just one night, interview some locals, film some B-roll, done. But the house had other plans. We entered through the heavy front doors just past 9 p.m. The caretaker, an older man named Roger, gave us a brief tour. Built in 1799 by Colonel John Taylor, he explained, voice low and distant like he'd given the speech 1,000 times. It's called the Octagon House, even though it's not a true octagon. Presidents have slept here, duels were planned in its halls, and some never left. I raised an eyebrow. Ghost stories? Roger didn't smile. They say the colonel's daughters died here. One fell from the top landing after an argument. Another, well, some say she was pushed. He paused at the foot of the staircase. Voices, footsteps, screams, but only after dark. I exchanged a glance with Mark, my cameraman. Standard haunted house stuff. Still, the moment Roger left and that door clicked shut behind him, the house felt empty in the wrong way. Not like no one was there, like something was hiding, waiting. We set up our equipment on the second floor. That's where one of the daughters reportedly fell. I decided to walk the staircase alone for our intro shot. I held the mic. The camera's red light blinked in the dark. My voice echoed slightly. This is the infamous staircase, I said, where tragedy struck not once, but twice. They say if you listen closely, creak. I froze. That wasn't me. That step two behind me creaked downward as if someone had shifted their weight. I turned around slowly. No one. The air felt sharp, cold enough to sting, whispering, faint, high-pitched, female. I couldn't make out the words, but it wasn't English. It was frantic, repetitive. Mark, I called. Did you hear that? No answer. I backed down the steps fast. When I reached the bottom, the hallway lights flickered, then went out completely. We regrouped in the study, a large room with heavy curtains and a fireplace that hadn't been lit in decades. Mark was pale. Someone touched my arm, he said. Ooh, I thought it was you. But when I turned around, it felt ice cold, like a hand, just pressing against my sleeve. We reviewed the footage. On his shot, it was a blur, a flicker of movement past the camera lens, white flowing. We played it frame by frame. It almost looked like a dress. I wanted to write it off as lens flare, but then we heard it again. Footsteps, above us, deliberate, heel to wood. We both stared at the ceiling. It was coming from the attic. No one was up there. I went up alone. Stupid, I know, but I needed the shot. The stairs were narrow, and the door at the top groaned, like it hadn't been opened in years. The attic was pitch black. Then, from the far end, a whisper. Closer this time. I raised the camera and turned on the infrared, and in that cold green haze she was there, a girl, standing barefoot, dress tattered and torn, eyes wide, mouth open, not screaming, not breathing, just watching me. And behind her, for a split second, another shadow, taller, darker, moving toward her. I blinked, and they were gone. We left that night. Didn't even pack up the gear, we just ran. I filmed in prisons, old hospitals, mines, even a morgue, but nothing has stayed with me the way that house has. Sometimes, when I edit, I still hear her voice, just behind the audio, like a loop buried beneath the track, repeating the same phrase over and over, whispered. And when I finally slowed it down, isolated the sound, and played it back at half speed, I understood what she was saying. Betihin opo ostulum. I should have left it alone, burned the footage, deleted the raw files, but something about her face, that frozen stare, that helpless expression, it burrowed into me. The girl in the attic, the whisper on the audio.
He's still here.
I needed answers. 2 weeks after the incident, I returned to D.C., alone this time. Mark refused to come back, wouldn't even speak to me after I sent him the audio file. He just texted one word, blocked. Honestly, I didn't blame him, but something had shifted in me since that night. I couldn't sleep, couldn't concentrate. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the girl and the shadow behind her. I started digging. Local archives, historical records, old newspapers. The Taylor family had kept most of their secrets buried deep. But one detail kept surfacing again and again. The attic was sealed for over 100 years. The rumors varied. One daughter died from a fall, yes, but the second one vanished. No body, no grave, just gone. Theories ranged from elopement to madness. But a diary entry hidden in a museum vault painted a darker story. Father found her in the attic again, talking to the shadow. He said it whispered through the walls. He locked the door, told the servants to leave it be. The next morning she was gone. Only her dress remained hung neatly on the chair. I returned to the Octagon house under the guise of a private tour, booking the woman at the front desk. A volunteer named Joanne seemed hesitant. "You're not planning to film anything again, are you?" she asked. "No," I lied. She hesitated before giving me the key. "Stay away from the attic," she said. "That door's not supposed to open anymore." I nodded, tucked the key into my jacket, and that night I came back with just a flashlight and my audio recorder. It was quiet, too quiet. The city outside felt distant, muffled, like I'd stepped into a bubble. No traffic, no sirens, no hum of civilization, just creaking wood and the faint tick of a state. I crouched down, recorder still running, and pressed my ear to the wood. A rhythm, intentional, like someone pacing just below. I whispered, "Who's still here?" Silence. Then me. The voice was right next to my ear. I jumped back. The room went ice cold. My flashlight flickered and died. In the darkness, I heard her again, the girl. But this time she wasn't whispering. She was sobbing. And another voice, deeper, broken, furious, spoke over her. "You brought him back." The attic door slammed behind me. I bolted toward it, stumbling in the dark, heart pounding. It wouldn't open. No matter how hard I pushed, it wouldn't budge. The walls began to groan, like they were breathing, stretching. The air felt too thick to inhale. And then something grabbed my leg, fingers tightening around my ankle. I screamed, kicked, fought, and then light. The door swung open. Joanne stood there, pale and shaking. "I told you," she whispered. "He doesn't like visitors." Outside, the air felt warm again, real, but I knew I wasn't done. I reviewed the recording in my car, the heartbeat, the footsteps, the sobs, and the voice clear as day. "He's still here, and now so are you." I haven't gone back since, but every now and then in the quiet, I hear a knock at my apartment door. 3 soft taps. No one's ever there, and each time I wonder if I brought something home with me, or if I ever really left that attic at all. Clock. At first, I thought it was in my head, residual paranoia from the attic. But now, it's a pattern. 3 nights in a row, same time, same sound. No one ever there. Except last night, there was something. When I opened the door, I didn't see a person, but I felt it. A shift in the air, like a vacuum forming in my hallway. A pressure pushing against me, whispering silently, without a voice. Then the lights flickered, and I saw it. A shadow, tall and narrow, stretching up the wall like someone was standing just out of sight on the ceiling. Then it disappeared. gone, like it was never there. The next morning, I tried convincing myself it was sleep paralysis, but I couldn't shake the sense of being watched. And I started noticing other things. My cat, usually fearless, now refused to enter my bedroom. She'd sit at the door and hiss at nothing. My cameras picked up motion alerts while I was at work. Inside my apartment, nothing moved, but the alerts wouldn't stop. Worse yet, when I played back the audio from the attic again, I heard something new, something that hadn't been there before, a whisper so faint I had to slow it down and isolate it. I followed the voice. He opened the door. He let him out. I didn't know what that meant, not yet, but I had a terrible feeling it was about me. Tuesday, 2 a.m. I woke up freezing. My apartment heat was on, all windows shut, but my breath fogged in front of my face. I sat up and saw something written on my mirror. The attic is not sealed, but I hadn't touched the mirror. I hadn't written anything, and it was written in moisture, as if someone had breathed it into existence. And then the scratching started, from the walls, from the inside, like fingernails clawing through plaster. I needed help. I drove back to D.C., straight to the Octagon house. Joanne refused to open the door. She spoke to me through the mail slot, like I was contagious. "You don't understand," she said. "He's been quiet for years. But you recorded him." She told me the legend. The shadow wasn't the spirit of the daughters. It wasn't human at all. They called it the architect. Some said it was summoned. Others believed it had always lived in the angles of the house, buried in its geometry. The Octagon house was built on sacred ground. Its halls formed unnatural shapes, circles within squares, hidden rooms behind mirror walls, architectural chaos. A design meant to trap whatever had been stirred during construction. The house didn't trap the ghosts, Joanne whispered. It was built to trap him. When I recorded in the I played it back, shared it. I became a doorway, and now it was inside my home, feeding, growing. That night I boarded myself in, salted the windows, blocked the vents, did every spiritual ritual I could find, burned sage, poured holy water, and then I turned the camera on. If it wanted to be seen, fine, let the world see it. 3:12 a.m., the knock. But this time it didn't stop. I stood at the door, camera in hand, heart pounding, and this time I opened it. Nothing, just the empty hallway, but my camera caught something, a face. Only for a frame, half buried in shadow, mouth stretched impossibly wide, eyes like smoldering coal. A voice followed, coming from my living room, not behind me, inside me. "You brought me home." I ran, left the apartment, haven't returned since, but every device I own, my phone, my laptop, even an old hard drive, keeps replaying the same recording over and over again. It always starts the same. The attic door opens, the girl cries, and the shadow whispers. He's still here. Somewhere outside Washington, D.C. 4:45 a.m. I hadn't slept. Not since I saw the face. Not since I heard the voice whisper through my bones. "You brought me home." I was miles away now, in a cheap roadside motel. No windows, no Wi-Fi, just walls that didn't speak back. And yet, even here, I could feel it, that presence, like something was folded inside the dark, waiting for me to close my eyes. I had one plan left: burn the footage, destroy the original copy, whatever was tied to that audio from the attic of the Octagon house. It needed to be erased. But first I had to understand it. I needed to know what this thing was, why it came back with me, why it called itself the Architect. Georgetown Public Archives, 1:12 p.m. The Octagon house was always a mystery to historians. Built in 1799 by Colonel John Taylor III, it was one of the most geometrically unique residences in D.C., a structure that made no logical sense. Rooms with no corners, stairs that curved unnaturally, a spiral hall that seemed to loop endlessly. But in the archived blueprints, I found something more disturbing. There was a basement level, one not open to the public, not listed on any current tour maps. A level beneath the main foundation, etched in symbols I didn't recognize. They looked mathematical, but older, like a language before language. Scrawled in the margin of the blueprints in faded pencil, he wasn't the spirit of a grieving daughter or a murdered mistress. He was something ancient, something that used structures, houses, hallways, doorways, as was gateways. He didn't haunt people. He possessed spaces, bent the very architecture around him until it opened a door for him to enter the mind, and the octagon house was built to trap him. Its impossible geometry was meant to fold in on itself, an Escher-like prison of infinite loops. But something in that attic, my recording, my voice, it cracked the seal, and I brought that design home. There's known. I see that. I come to mind of this past known. I get into my external hard drive. The original copy of the attic recording was here. The air was dense, smelled like wet drywall and copper. My door was on lock. I knew I hadn't left it that way. Inside, the lights flickered weakly, and in the center of my living room, chalk symbols drawn on the floor, angles that didn't meet, circles inside impossible squares, and sitting in the middle of it all, my hard drive. I didn't touch it, didn't even breathe near it. I doused the whole thing in lighter fluid, every wire, every disc, everything. Lit the match, and as the flames danced, he stepped out of the wall, not through a door, through the plaster. His limbs were wrong, bending like blueprints come to life. One arm arched in a perfect arc, fingers forming a right angle mid-air. His face was smooth, no eyes, no mouth, but still, I heard him. You don't understand. You can't destroy the foundation. You're already built into it. The flames touched nothing. The hard drive refused to burn. And then the floor cracked, right beneath the chalk, right beneath my feet. A hole opened, not in the floorboards, but in reality. A descent into a hallway that shouldn't exist. I ran. Final entry, voice memo, recorded 3:12 a.m. I'm in a motel again. This time I left the phone behind using a borrowed recorder. I don't think he can follow me this way, but I hear it, scratching in the walls. The architecture around me is wrong. The room is longer than it was when I checked in, and I swear the light switch move. If you're hearing this, don't go to the octagon house. Don't record anything in that attic. Don't draw the angles. And if you start seeing doors where there weren't any before, it's already too late. Cathedral of St. Alethea, built 1742, officially abandoned 1887, unofficially forgotten. The train ride to Savannah felt longer than it should have been. My phone screen flickered the whole way, even when it was off. Buildings outside, bent at odd angles as we passed. Not physically, but in a way only I could see. Ever since I escaped the chamber under D.C., I've been seeing through the world like I've been tuned to a different frequency. The architect left a mark, and this church, it's the only thing that's calling back the cathedral grounds. Midnight, no tourists, no street noise, just me, a rusted lock, and a whisper that slid through the trees like a snake in